And we're live.
I got no joke today because the Raptors ain't no joke right now.
Because the Raptors are a joke right now, I think you mean.
Okay. Uh, Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in to the point with
Skip.
and the King. You guys know what to do. Find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, like while you're working out, driving, or whatever. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, right? And YouTube. Go down there, click subscribe, click like, help us help a couple brothers out. If not, you're bootlegging and you owe us some money. We thank you guys for those of you that do support us and those of you guys that are there for us. We appreciate you, especially coming off of our 4-year anniversary and enjoying our fantastic guests, especially today. We got my man right there, Charlie. What's up, brother?
What's up? How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Good. And then also from the East Coast, we got the one and only, the coach, Tim Roache. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Surviving the cold.
Notice I didn't call you Nick Nurse's doppelganger.
Not this time. No.
Skip, you look cold.
It's not even cold. It's just grizzly
Okay, stop
out there.
it. It's cold for you. Okay. Okay. Now, speaking of it getting cold up here in Toronto, there's been a little bit of cold stuff going on. If you guys have watched our last video, we spoke about the dysfunction going on within the Raptors locker room and the organization within itself. So it points to there might have to be a move made with maybe one of the players. And we're just here speculating. So, because we ain't the GM, none of us Messiah. Anybody wearing a crown? I'm the only one that's king, but none of us wearing a crown. So, let's start with you, Charlie. Charlie, do you have any proposed trades for a Raptor that can leave and bring something back to help elevate this team?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with probably the guy that's been rumored the most, the guy who we think is going to get traded, Gary Trent Jr. We all have heard rumors about multiple teams having high interest in him. He's on an expiring contract. He's 23 years old, fits perfectly with a bunch of teams, and he'd definitely be a great asset for a lot of teams. So I came up with two different trades that I think could benefit the Raptors, could benefit their counterpart that they're getting involved with. So the first one I kind of thought about was a trade with the Dallas Mavericks. And in this trade, the Raptors would receive Dwight Powell, Jaden Hardy, and Frank Ntilikina, mainly as salary filler, for Gary Trent Jr. Now, I don't know if there's going to be any picks that would be needed to get involved in this, but that should be a good base and a good foundation to work around. Dwight Powell would provide that big man presence that the Raptors need. He could set screens. He could be a lob presence. He could help anchor the defense for the bench, or they could end up starting him as well. Jaden Hardy, I'm really, really high on him. At the beginning of the season, I said on a space that I was really, really high. He has a lot of promise, and the Raptors have a great development staff and development program, so they could absolutely utilize him perfectly. And like I said, Frank Ntilikina is mainly just in there to fill some salary gaps. Now, the second trade I proposed is a 3-teamer. So this is a bit of a bigger one. So this one's involving the Raptors and the two teams in the 2021 NBA Finals, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. So in this one, I got the Raptors receiving Pat Connaughton, Cam Johnson, and Marjon Beauchamp. The Bucks receiving Jay Crowder and Gary Trent Jr., which is pretty massive for them. And the Suns receiving Joe Ingles, Grayson Allen, Malachi Flynn, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, and it probably needs some extra picks, but I'll leave that up to you guys, the viewers, to figure out how you'd want to add those in. So that's a pretty big one. The Raptors fill multiple needs with that. The Bucks automatically get a lot better, helping them solidify themselves in the top of the Eastern Conference, helping them make that push to be the number one team in the East. And then the Suns, they're kind of looking already at the post-Chris Paul era. This gives them a couple pieces to increase their shooting, a couple picks for the future, and it just gives them a little bit of a retool and some change up of assets, and maybe that might help them.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Guys, what do you think about that trade? Coach?
Your Dallas trade. I'll go with that first. I like Jaden Hardy. A lot of Mavericks fans I speak with are very high on him, thinking that he should play more. I know by the sounds of it, he'd be the main piece in your deal coming back with Trent. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yep. With Dwight Powell, too, the Canadian connection. I think he's a free agent at the end of the year, so likely he would re-sign with us, hopefully on like a somewhat team-friendly deal.
That would be the idea.
And you're bringing Frank the Tank back, too. So I like that first trade. I like your second trade, too. I like Marchand Beauchamp. I think he's got some upside, promising wing. Connaughton. And who was the third player that you said was... Oh, Cam Johnson.
He would be more of the focal point of this for sure. But he's obviously on an expiring as well, and the Raptors would need to pay him. And would they want to do that? I don't know. But if they would be open to that, it seems like a good deal to me.
We would have our shooting again when we had Cam Johnson.
Well, but you're
There
trading
you go.
Gary Trent. I mean, you're giving it all up, and then you're getting it back. I'm not totally excited about that Dallas trade. I mean, I don't think any of those guys are jumping off the page as really high level players. I don't know too much about Jaden Hardy. I would hope that sort of in a Gary Trent trade we'd be getting.
Yeah, but we didn't know about Gary Trent until he came to Toronto, really.
Yeah, but he was scoring like 18, 19 points a game already. All those guys are averaging like less than 10. Now, I don't know what the upside of Jaden Hardy is, but I'm not seeing a crazy pedigree there. I don't know too much about the player, to be honest. I think you should at least be aiming for a first rounder for Gary Trent, even if it's a late, not a super high first. My sort of framework for a Gary Trent Jr. trade would just be to get a decent first and just some salary filler somewhere. To make up for the $17 million contract and make the contracts match. The funny thing is, I was just looking through the Western Conference and I didn't see a whole lot of easy matches because a lot of those guys that would be salary filler, right? They're these guys on 2-3 year deals that maybe you don't really want to bring back, like a Davis Bertans or something. Like, I don't know if the Raptors want him on the roster for 3 years or 2 years and an option. And then there's a couple others. So I'm not totally sold on your Dallas trade. Now, as for the other trade, funnily enough, I was also looking at getting Gary Trent to the Suns, and I think I also had a weird trade with Crowder in there somewhere too. But I couldn't really make it work where I really was happy with what each team was getting. It was another 3-teamer. It wasn't the Bucks. It was the Cavs. I think I tried to put Crowder on. I didn't really love it for any team. I really think for the purposes of this exercise, it's easier just to kind of go with slightly simpler trades, not because that's necessarily what's going to turn out to happen in the long run, but the more you get into the nitty gritty of these trades, the more things that you just are not going to line up with what the actual trade is going to look like. So yeah, okay. Gary Trent. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Okay, Coach. Apparently, and thank you for coming back on the show again. Once again, we love having you on. I love talking to you because we are coaches. We've been coaches. So I would love to listen to what you have to say if there is a proposed trade for the Toronto Raptors. If.
In terms of someone, another player?
Yeah. Who do you got? What do you got? What do you got to fix the team?
What's your deal? What's your trade?
Okay. So I've been on the record stating that Pascal, Scotty, and OG are untouchable for me. Now, if it went 1, 2, and 3, Scotty's number 1 untouchable, Pascal's 2, and OG would be 3. So if I had to trade one of my untouchables, it'd be my third option, which would be OG. It's been in the news a lot because he's got contract situation coming up. Raptors aren't doing very well, so here's what I proposed. The Pelicans, they have their picks, they got all the Lakers picks, they got Milwaukee's picks, they got a lot of picks right now. So
maybe trade for that first round pick that the Lakers are gonna give them for that kid, that French kid. So, you got me salivating. Go on.
So what I'm looking at right now, Toronto Raptors will trade OG Anunoby and Malachi Flynn to the New Orleans Pelicans for Herb Jones, Dyson Daniels, Devontae Graham, he's filler, that Lakers pick swap, and the 2024 first round pick. Now, you're not getting 3 picks if you got the Lakers pick swap in there. If that's not in there, you need 3 picks, in my opinion. Herb Jones is basically OG Anunoby. Just a year younger, a little smaller too. Not as good. But he can defend, all-world defender. Dyson Daniels. Masai was after him at the draft. He wanted him. 6'7", 6'8" point guard. He fits their vision on what they want to do. So he becomes the future point guard of this team. Devontae Graham, he's filler right now, but he is under control for a few more years. So you're getting 2 young players, controllable players. Graham is the filler, and 2 first-round picks. And my second trade. Should we talk about that first, or go to my second trade?
I'm just gonna jump in on that.
Wait. Skip. Let him go for it.
Okay, fine.
So my second trade with OG Anunoby is to the Indiana Pacers. Getting back TJ McConnell, mainly filler. Chris Duarte, young player, even though he's older than OG, can shoot. And the main piece, Ben Mathurin. And I want a 2023 first round pick. They have multiple. And I want a 2025 first round pick. So once again, there are in this deal, you got 1 main piece that's coming back. Plus you have McConnell, who can give Freddie a break. Instead of Freddie playing 400 minutes, he only has to play 300 minutes now. With Chris Duarte, he brings shooting. He was very good last year, kind of struggling this year, but he's Canadian as well. I believe he has dual citizenship. So I think those are my 2 deals.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. Skip, what do you got to say about that?
Well, you literally stole my thunder. Those were my almost word for word my 2 trades. So my first trade was OG Anunoby to the Pelicans for that exact package. I took out Herb Jones and Malachi Flynn at the last minute, but other than that, I was basically on the same page. For all the reasons that you just mentioned, I think that getting that Lakers pick is kind of that key where you're like, okay, if you're getting a Lakers pick, then it's worth it to move OG, and you're getting a really valuable young lottery player in Dyson Daniels, another first rounder in there somewhere. That's kind of the package that you're when Zach Lowe is talking about a Rudy Gobert-esque package. That's sort of the starting point of that package. And the second trade, actually, I had the Pacers trade being a Pascal Siakam trade, because what I realized about the Pacers, it's almost the same package. I didn't have Chris Duarte in there, but it's a very similar package. Bennett Mathurin, first rounder, and a couple other pieces for Siakam, because I realized that the Pacers actually are one of the few teams that has enough cap space to take a Pascal Siakam in a real trade. Now, I don't know if that's totally enough for Pascal, because I think he should command even more than OG. But I think that's another really interesting team that we match up with is the Pacers.
I'm going to take a timeout right here, Skip. Woo! Go to WeDoLaundry.ca. Punch in the promo code to the point. They come to your door, wash, pick up your clothes, wash, fold, bring it right back for you, unscathed, beautiful looking. I understand that winter is upon us, and a lot of people don't want to get out to their laundromat. A lot of people don't like. I know I hate the cold as well, even though I'm born and raised here in the city of Toronto. But like, I get it. It's a great service. You guys should go check it out. Remember, again, promo code to the point, 5% off. Charlie, what do you think of Roache's proposed trade?
Not gonna lie, that Pacers one kind of took me back and caught me off guard.
Yeah, I know, right?
And it's funny how you said TJ McConnell as filler, because I know a lot of us here, we've talked about him, that the Raptors should target him as he's like that perfect playmaker that could come off the bench for us. But to go to the New Orleans one, if the Raptors were to trade OG, which I don't think they are going to, and I don't think they should, but if it does come down to that, that would be the type of package that I'd want as well. I'm a big fan of Herb Jones as well. The Lakers pick obviously is great. Dyson Daniels is a rookie year. So he's very, very promising. And that's the type of deal that I would like to see. So if it does come down to that, I would say yes. But that Pacer deal, that definitely caught me off guard. Bennett Mather and bring him home. That one's interesting. Very interesting.
Of the two trades, he's the best player coming back, in my opinion, both.
For sure.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. I just on the TJ thing, like if we're trading these guys, I'm just gonna 30 seconds. If we're trading these guys, why do we care about getting TJ back? Like, I wanted TJ back when we were trying to win. If we're trading OG Anunoby back, like, we're going for Wemby. Like, anyway.
You still want Jakob Poeltl back? What are you talking about? Okay, Skip. Speaking of what you want, what is your proposed trade?
Well, I just told you. You kind of stole my thunder. I was going to. I really literally had those almost the word for word trades. Another interesting one, I think, maybe to look at would be sort of a smaller Pelicans trade just with Fred VanVleet. And that would be a very, very basic trade. That would be just maybe if you could get Dyson Daniels and Devontae Graham back for Fred VanVleet, I think you'd be happy with that. Just, put VanVleet on a team that's trying to win, and have him sort of in a better position, in a better place, I think. Not that I think the Raptors are actually going to trade VanVleet, because all the rumors that are coming out they keep doubling down on, we want to keep this guy, we want to bring him back. But I think there might be an argument that like he should be on a team that wants to win right now, because he is kind of at the end of his prime. And so I think maybe going to a team like the Pelicans, who probably would be interested in keeping him around as these guys go further along in their prime, and you try to get one really good young piece, whether that's Daniels, whether that's a pick. So I think that's kind of an interesting sort of zig to your zag. But yeah, I think it's interesting how we keep coming back to the Pelicans and the Pacers as the two teams they match up with the best, because I kind of went up and down the Western Conference contenders, and I just don't see that many teams that comfortably line up with the Raptors. I mean, there's probably ways to make it work in a blockbuster scenario or a really crazy trade. But if you're trying to look for that very basic, I think the framework is, if you're talking about a Trent trade, a VanVleet trade, it's an expiring salary and a first round pick. Like, there's just not a lot of teams that I'm really seeing that have that exact package in the exact proportions that we would kind of need. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think.
Okay. Can I weigh in here, guys?
Sure.
Okay. Honestly, I don't think, like, if the Raptors are going to make a move come trade deadline, despite the discrepancies going on inside the locker room and within the organization, if they're going to make a move, it's going to have to be a major move. I don't see any small moves like Wancho for this guy. Like, I don't see any of that small stuff, right? And I do think that if the Raptors were to make a major move, it would definitely have to be, you'd have to shop Freddie. Like, we all know Trent is low-hanging fruit for other teams. He's a valuable asset. He can shoot, but the Raptors would have to return with a bigger shooter, a better shooter than him in order to replace that. But I do see Freddie having to make the move out if coach, tell me if I'm wrong here, if they're going to keep that positionless 6'9" vision, right? Maybe, like, Fred does not really fit into it. Malachi, yeah, back up, bring him in once in a while when a player needs time off. But I don't see a move unless it's very major. And like you said, Roach, that I'm very intrigued with that New Orleans Pelicans one, because if they were to lock up that first round pick from the Lakers, LeBron, Westbrook, and Mr. Sean DeGlass, like the route they're heading, I think it would be a great pick to maybe bring in another 4, right? I'm very, very, very intrigued by that, but I honestly don't see, to me, OG, Pascal, Scotty, untouchable. Don't get rid of any of them.
But the reason
Freddie, Gary, yeah, they can go. Okay. as long as the Raptors get something valuable for them. Because, like, look what we just seen recently. What was it, last week, where Freddie turned down the contract extension? That there's a sign right there that something is going on. Okay? And so that's what I think. I think Freddie or Gary Trent, I don't have any proposed trades, but I think those are the guys that would be low-hanging fruit for other teams.
But I think the reason that the New Orleans is so interesting and Indiana is so interesting is because they're two teams that are just at a very specific time in their growth cycle, right? They're young.
Skip.
Yeah.
I didn't get to finish. We also mentioned Indiana. I also seen, we've spoken about this, well, Miles Turner, possibly.
Yeah.
Right? That's out there. That speculation is out there as well. But go on.
Well, I was just saying the reason that I like the Pelicans and the Pacers trades is because they're very young teams that are just hitting their spurt right now. So the kind of assets that the Raptors are talking about when you're talking about trading their big assets in a Pascal, an OG, even a Fred, they're kind of that perfect extra piece for a team that's just wanting to vault themselves into contender status. Versus if you look at it, all the teams that are kind of already contenders, they tend to be a bit older. They tend to be a little bit more burdened down in their cap sheet. It's just not quite such a clean matchup. So I think that's why those two teams really jump out at us, because they have so many assets and because they're just getting ready to win right now.
Charlie, what do you think?
I will say I think New Orleans is more in that position where they are ready to assert themselves into title contenders, where Indiana's maybe a step back. That's why I think for Indiana to get on par with New Orleans, a Pascal Siakam trade would kind of have to be the thing to get them up there, which seems highly unlikely. Obviously.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly why I put Pascal in Indiana and OG in New Orleans. But
right. If the OG trade happens to New Orleans, let's see where they're at right now. New Orleans is fourth in the West right now. So at the time of this recording, so if they can get OG, I think that catapults them into definitely title contenders with parity, and the whole league is really wide open.
Coach, what do you think, man? What do you think about all these proposed trades?
It's a lot, but OG trade is a tank move, in my opinion, for either side. If you're going to Indiana, you're taking a step back. If you're going to New Orleans, you're taking a step back. OG makes sense for either team. Indiana, he went to the University of Indiana. He is familiar with that place. Also, Indiana's not a free agent destination. You probably could lock him up. He might not, but it gives them a chance. To the Pelicans, what Skip had said with Fred would make sense with the Pelicans. I think they could use a championship guard if they feel their window is now.
And allowing the Pelicans to get Fred VanVleet would allow CJ McCollum to play more off ball. Exactly. So obviously we know Fred's great off ball and CJ's great off ball, so they can both take turns kind of with the ball handler duties, and I feel like that would be a pretty good combination in the backcourt.
Especially, we keep talking about New Orleans, but none of us have said anything about Zion.
Well, Zion's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
no, not in a trade. Like the pairing up. Like we spoke about Pascal probably going OG. Can you imagine that duo?
No.
I will say I don't. This might be a bit controversial, but I think if Fred were to go to New Orleans, it would have a bigger effect on CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram than it would on Zion Williamson. And I think that because we've seen when Lonzo Ball was in New Orleans, he was the perfect passer to play alongside with Zion. He could throw the lobs. He was great at these flashy transition passes, whereas Fred VanVleet likes to slow it down a bit more, play in the half court. He can run these sets with CJ McCollum and come off curls and pin downs and things like that. So he's not the perfect lob passer to Zion, who likes to run fast and play fast in transition. So he definitely helped CJ and Brandon Ingram more, but obviously it's a team and they'd all gel and mix together.
Well, the Raptors play in transition a lot. The interesting thing is, as you're mentioning that, would Fred be the sixth man in New Orleans? Because I'm not sure. I'm not necessarily sure there's room to start him. I mean, there is room to start him, but the defense would not be ideal.
I think you have to start him. He's
Yeah.
at the caliber player. He was just an all-star last year, right? He's
Yeah.
not coming off the bench. So I think their starting lineup would end up being like Fred, CJ, Brandon Ingram, Zion, and JV.
And
Who knows what this-
that's got some defensive holes though.
Right. Who knows what the substitution patterns would look like? Jackson Hayes is Jackson Hayes. Trey Murphy, he has some defensive pop, but he's not any Herb Jones. So they could figure it out.
It also depends. Yeah. In this trade, Herb Jones is staying there, right? He's coming back in the OG trade, but he's staying there in the red trade.
Right.
Yeah, there's a few different ways we could go there. I'm just interested. We haven't talked about a lot of the like Eastern Conference contenders, like the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nets. It's kind of hard to find a match there, though. I don't know if you guys looked too much. Yeah,
go.
I think Charlie's trade with Phoenix with Trent, it makes sense because Phoenix has fallen fast.
Mm-hmm.
They want to win right now. They're probably going to want Gary Trent. Booker's hurt, Paul's hurt, they need scoring. Trent to Milwaukee makes sense. Put Holiday, Trent, Middleton, Giannis, and Lopez. That could win the East.
Yeah, but then it's the salaries thing.
Oh, yeah, man.
It's the salaries thing. So all the Phoenix trades, I mean, the way to make the Phoenix trade work is to have Saric and Jay Crowder coming back. Now, if the Raptors are trading Trent, what do they want those two players for? To be honest, like
that's why I had to kind of create a 3-teamer where the Raptors don't get Sarge back and Jay Crowder can go to Milwaukee where he was already rumored to go.
Yeah, so I mean that's the sort of the thing is like there's lots of ways where you can sort of say, okay, we're trading Trent for Saric and Crowder. You need to be getting a pick in there somewhere but then you need to also work in a third team and try to find. I didn't look for long enough to really find a third team. But like I said, 2 or 3 scenarios I ran through wasn't really working out for me. So maybe there is that magical trade out there where you can flip Saric and Crowder to a third team and make that trade make sense. But I don't think from Toronto's perspective, it makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, unless they just want the pick and they'll just be like, whatever, we'll take these guys.
Coach, to respond to you about the Eastern Conference is I don't think you don't want to trade within your own division. You don't want to give up one of your guys and then see them 4 times a year and have them toast you or roach you. Get it? But they you don't. I don't think you'd want that. I think that's why I think it would make more sense if any of the Raptors were to leave. It would go to a Western Conference team, because the Eastern Conference is already stacked. And look at what the Raptors have to deal with right now, being in 11th. What do you guys think about that? Like trading. And by the way, we don't have much time, so get this quick.
I'm going to say one thing. That's a loser's mentality. If you're going in trades like that, that means you're expecting to lose trades.
I don't want to send him to I have to deal with this guy and he's going to whoop my ass. Hell
I mean,
no.
there's moments when you might, I mean, maybe on a Pascal trade that holds you up. That's not holding me up on a Fred trade or a Gary trade. Like maybe a Pascal trade. Yeah.
Dude, that's like losing your girlfriend to your roommate. Okay. You're going to see her all the time. Okay. Come on. No. I don't want, send them to the West. Get them out of here. I don't want to see you. You have to negotiate with all 30 teams. You can't cut teams out just because you're competing against them. You can choose which teams you want to deal with.
If you're going by that logic, though, would the James Harden Ben Simmons trade happen? Same division.
Yeah, you have to take the best offer on the table. Now, if it's a Pascal Siakam trade, maybe, and there's 2 competing offers and they're really close, maybe you just enter the Western Conference. But like, if you're just weighing like first round picks versus first round picks, that, like, just go and get the best damn deal you can. It's the same as drafting per position, right? It's like you're overthinking it. Get the most value that you can.
Not overthinking it, man. We all see this in every sport. Skip, you know this about baseball. We all know
all right. Roach, what do you think?
You don't want to. You don't want to trade within your division.
Yeah, ideally you don't want to, but at the end of the day, you got to take the best deal.
Yeah, but that's not what you're aiming for. Is my point.
Mhm.
That's not what you're aiming for. Go on, Roach. Sorry.
No, that's it. That's all I got.
I just want to say that. I just want to say that as much as, we've all been speculating over the last little bit, and speculation is not going to stop anytime soon. I don't even personally think the Raptors know what direction they want to go in. I don't know if they've made up their mind yet, if they want to sell, if they want to be buyers or sellers.
Well, we're still hearing Pirtle rumors, right? And to that end, the Pirtle rumors made a lot of sense early in the season, but I don't want to go out and get a center now. What's that going to get us? That's going to get us an 8 seed.
Right. We're hearing lots of rumors where teams are interested in guys like Fred and Gary and OG. So that obviously indicates that the Raptors have been on the phones inquiring what the price tag would be and what they can get in return. But we've also heard rumors where the Raptors are interested in guys to buy instead of sell. So I don't personally think that they know what direction they want to go in yet. So it'll be really interesting in the coming couple of weeks to see how everything plays out.
Yes, we will see. Guys, we're almost done. Any last takes? Skip, you go first because you're going to take about 5 minutes. Go for it.
I think I said most of my piece. I think, just to respond to Charlie's point, I think they have to be in sell mode. I think we're still hearing these rumors about them being buyers a little bit, but I think all the arrows are pointing towards sell. So I think Gary Trent's gone. I think the other trades that we've talked about are a little more pie in the sky. I think those are kind of deals that you listen to now, and maybe you consummate in the offseason, if anything. But even the Fred VanVleet thing, you can do a side and trade if necessary. So yeah, I do think there's a chance that they trade Fred VanVleet, but I think the OG and Pascal trades are kind of really, really unlikely.
Coach, do you have any last thoughts?
Buckle up. I'm going to see some actions. That's my guess.
Okay, we'll see this. We'll have you back on for this one. Also, you, Charlie, do you have any last thoughts?
Just exciting time to be alive. Very exciting trade rumors and speculation all the time, and let's see what happens.
Okay, guys, this has been a great conversation. We will continue it at another time, God willing. So, on behalf, Charlie, thank you for coming on the show. Coach, thank you for coming on the show. Skip, I see you all the time.
Always.
On behalf of all of us, all 4 of us, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
peace.